This is Inside Indiana Business Radio for the afternoon of Tuesday, January 31st, 2023. I'm Alex Brown. Indianapolis-based Elevate Ventures set a new record for annual investments with 128 transactions in 2022, the venture capital firm said in its annual report. CEO Christopher Day said in a year where the economy took a dip, the firm was able to see which of its portfolio companies were able to excel.
There was definitely a contraction of venture capital in the marketplace. So venture capital wanting to focus much more on reinvesting in their existing portfolio rather than plant new seeds.
The transactions totaled $22.8 million in venture investments, development investments, and grants. Trine University has named John Shannon president of the Angola-based institution, succeeding Earl Brooks, who is retiring from the post this spring. The university says while Brooks is retiring from the presidency, he will start serving in the newly created role of university chancellor. The developers of a casino under construction in Terre Haute have removed the royal reference in the name of the venue. Louisville-based Churchill Downs says the property will now be known as Terre Haute Casino Resort, removing the reference to Queen from the business title. From the number one source for Indiana business news, this is Inside Indiana Business Radio.
Has your company grown at a rapid pace over the last 2 years? Nominations are now being accepted for Fast 25, IBJ's exclusive list of fastest growing companies in Central Indiana. Honorees will be spotlighted in a special publication in the IBJ and celebrated at an event on May 9th. Check out the changes to this year's criteria to see if your company qualifies. Learn more and submit your nomination by March 1st at ibj.com/nominations.
In today's business environment, every company is a tech company. Interested in learning more about emerging technology trends that can make an impact on your strategy in 2023? Join us February 15th for IBJ's Technology Power Breakfast to hear from top tech entrepreneurs, investors, and up-and-comers. Our panelists will dive into key issues and trends that will inspire fresh ideas. RSVP or reserve a corporate table for 10 by February 9th at ibj.com/events.
Union Hospital in Terre Haute is the recipient of a $2.25 million grant from the Federal Health Resources and Services Administration. Dr. Amber Caddick tells our partners at WTWO-TV the hospital's residency program will use the grant to enhance curriculum and train physicians in the prevention, identification, diagnosis, treatment, and referral of services for mental and behavioral health conditions.
We are number one in the state in child poverty, and we have a high trauma rate too for our children. This grant will hopefully better educate our physicians in how to spot children who need extra help and extra support, and also give our docs the tools they need to intervene to help kind of on the front lines. We don't realize a lot of times our area is medically underserved. If you think about it, a lot of people have to drive to Indianapolis to get the specialty care they need, and we're hoping to reverse that and create really competent, strong doctors who are compassionate that stick around in the Wabash Valley.
Union Hospital is the only Indiana recipient of the grant, which comes from the HRSA's Federal Bureau of Health Workforce. An inaugural report released today by TechPoint, an industry-led growth initiative for Indiana's technology ecosystem, reveals demand for tech-trained workers is at an all-time high, but the talent supply is not keeping up. The organization says traditional talent pipelines cannot provide enough talent and calls for additional pathways of worker development. The report says in the constantly growing age of digital innovation, Indiana must boost its development of tech workers if it wants to continue to grow its reputation as a tech innovator. It calls on Indiana tech sector leaders, employers, and community stakeholders to work together to overcome its issues. Officials in Knox County have launched a local business retention and expansion program aimed at helping local businesses and improving economic development. Knox County, Indiana Economic Development, and the Knox County Chamber of Commerce are partnering on the effort to examine the needs and challenges facing employers. The partners have initiated a process to survey local business owners and managers. Knox County Development Corporation CEO Chris Paff.
I think the biggest thing is just looking for trends and then any specific thing that are barriers to growth. So there's a lot of different questions in there about, how do you perceive our community? And a lot of these questions are sort of, teasers to open up a conversation with our local companies about their experience in doing business here in Vincennes and Knox County. And so I think as we collect this data back, and aggregate that, I think we're going to learn some things that perhaps we didn't know.
The project includes not only manufacturers, but also the service, food, and beverage industries. Former Governor Mitch Daniels, who just completed a 10-year stint as Purdue University president, said today he will not run for the U.S. Senate, ending speculation that he would jump into the race after sitting Senator Mike Braun decided to run for governor. Daniels, a Republican who worked in the Ronald Reagan and George W. Bush administrations, said in a statement that he made the decision after, quote, what I hope was adequate reflection. Daniels released the statement after a trip to Washington, D.C., in which he reportedly discussed the possibility with party leaders and the job with other senators. The Business and Beyond podcast with Gary Dick is on hiatus for a couple of weeks as we prepare for Season 3, but you can go back and listen to past episodes with notable names in Indiana such as Mario Andretti, Angelo Pizzo, and media personalities Mark Patrick and Bob Kavoyan, available now from your favorite podcast provider. I'm Alex Brown for Inside Indiana Business Radio On Demand.